What's going on, people? Very good evening to you all, man. This is your guy, the Boxing Lowdown, here for episode number 72, of the Boxing Lowdown. So you know what time it is. Delighted to be joined, as usual, by my father, my co-host, the main man, Mr. Controversial in the building, Laurie from AFTV in the house, man. What's going on, man?
What's happening, man? It's a nice spring day in London. Here at the AFTV studios. I'm in one of the back rooms at the moment. Is the reception good?
Reception's good, yeah. Reception's very good.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay. Yeah, man. Hit me with it. What you got? Hit me with one of those 1-2 and a biscuit, like what Jack Catterall was popping up Josh Taylor with last week. Couldn't miss with that 1-2, man.
I'm still not over that, man. I'm still just dumbfounded. We're going to talk a bit more about that today. But first of all, let me just give a shout out to everybody in the chat. First of all, you know what time it is. Michael Maxwell is here in the building. He's put evening, guys. Big up and respect to your great shows. Thank you very much, brother. Good to see you here. Francisco, our guy from over there in Arizona, he's always here. Big up you, bro. Ian Hamilton's here as well. Let's get this going. We've got a lot to talk about. Yeah, we have. We've got a lot to talk about, man. And I can't wait to delve into some of these topics today because I know, Laura, you're going to have an opinion on some of them for real. So let's just not play about. Let's just jump straight into it, man. Let's just get cooking straight away. First thing I want to talk to you about today is we know what's happening in Ukraine at the moment, man. Some horrible scenes we've been seeing on the TV. Alexander Usyk is one of the fighters, well, one of the boxers out there that has decided to join the terror army over there in Kiev. And he is now going to be, well, he confirmed yesterday that the rematch with AJ is out. So we're not sure whether he will be taking on that rematch straight away. Laurie, I just wanted to get your thoughts. Don't know if are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't know if the Wi-Fi is playing up a little bit. All of a sudden went from really good reception.
It went really good to frozen. I didn't know if I was talking to myself for a minute there.
Yeah, I don't know if it's you.
Do you want to move somewhere and I'll just keep talking? I don't think, Laurie, I think he might have Wi-Fi issues, man. We've seen this happen before, do you know what I mean? Where Canelo, he could be one of them Mexicans that just I think he's back now. I think we got him back. Okay. But yeah, Laurie, just your thoughts, man. I don't know if you heard me earlier, just on the whole situation over there in Ukraine right now. We've seen, Vitaly Klitschko, Lomachenko, Vladimir Klitschko, and now Alexander Usyk willing to take arms over there in Ukraine. And that has now caused serious doubt over whether this rematch with AJ will go ahead. So your thoughts on that situation and what could potentially be, in my opinion anyway, in spite of the circumstances, which are very horrible, but this could be a positive thing for AJ, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm sure he wouldn't have wanted it this way. But yeah, first up, just want to say that the situation in Ukraine is pretty desperate at the moment. And obviously people's hearts and minds go out to the people out there and obviously to all the fighters based in Ukraine. I mean, at the weekend, you had Victor Postol. He literally had, the minute he finished his fight, he was back on a plane over to Ukraine, trying to look after the welfare and safety of his family. So, yeah, it's a desperately dire situation over there. Hopefully it can be resolved soon, hopefully, without lives being lost or many more lives being lost. And shout out to all those guys you mentioned, man. I mean, there are some things in life much more important than boxing. And the fact that they've gone over there or stayed in the country to defend the right of their country is something that you have to applaud them for.
It's honorable, isn't it? It's honorable.
Yeah. So, obviously that needs to be said. That being said, it does lead to certain questions around the AJ fight, doesn't it? The rematch, because if you think about it, I don't think that fight's going to be able to be arranged for a while, is it? Because let's face it, I don't think that what's going on in Ukraine is going to be settled in the coming weeks, if not months. It could drag on for a long, long time. Who's to say?
Yeah.
And whilst obviously Usyk has the sympathy and empathy of the world, and in particular in boxing, there's only so long they can leave those belts in abeyance. So something's going to have to happen soon, isn't it? So I think you could well see a sort of interim title. You know what I mean? But then what do the rest of the belt? You know what these sanctioning organizations are like? They might use that as an excuse to break everything up again. You know what I mean? And go their own different ways. I'm pretty sure they will do that if it's left in abeyance for any length of time. And I could certainly see AJ fighting for all of those, if not one of those belts. Some people are suggesting him versus Joe Joyce. Now that would be an attraction, wouldn't it?
Yep.
And I'm sure there are other names you could easily put with AJ to make that fight for the belt. So yeah,
it's a desperate situation, man, because normally I believe if it was one belt, for example, then like let's say the WBC, they would normally lift the champion to champion emirate, or however you pronounce it, Emiratus or Emiratus or whatever, where you're kind of like you're still the champ, but you're it's kind of relieved from you for the meantime until you decide to make a return back to the ring. I thought maybe they could do that with Usyk, but considering he has 3 of the 4 belts, I don't know how possible that's going to be. And it just leaves us in a bit of a mess once again, man, because I'd hate to see him get stripped, but I'm sure that that's the last thing on his mind. But it's just, it's a dire situation, man.
It's a difficult one. It's difficult because, if it was just one belt, you could see one of the sanctioning bodies saying, "Listen, you know what? We understand what's going on in Ukraine. You have our sympathy. You have our empathy. You will install us as Emeritus champion or whatever it is, and there will be a kind of interim arrangement. AJ will fight AN other for the belt. You get first dibs when you're ready to return to the ring, however long that may take." But there'd be 3 sanctioning bodies in this case. And are they all going to sing on the same hymn sheet? Probably not. So it could get quite complex.
Yeah.
Who's to say what's gonna take place, really? Because these sanctioning bodies are very unpredictable at the best of times, let alone now. So you just don't know what's going to happen.
Let's go through some comments here. Big up Harvey, first of all, man. Shout out to you, bro. He's put here, what Usyk and the Klitschko's are doing is complete bravery. Massive respect to the both of them. Some things are bigger than boxing. Asher said here, Vlad and Vitaly are on the hit list of trained Russian assassins who have infiltrated Ukraine. Pray they make it through. It's just desperate situation there, man. Big up Lou.
I'm also hearing that Lomachenko's signed up as well now, isn't he?
Yeah, Lomachenko is a party. He has signed up as well.
He's joined their territorial army or their territorial army equivalent. So he's signed up as well. So potentially all of those guys are on hit lists, aren't they? Because if you think about it, if they're fighting against Russia and Russia were to somehow harm them, I'm sure that would be a target for them, wouldn't it?
Somebody with a name like the Klitschko's or Lomachenko. It's
especially Vitaly Klitschko, because he's the mayor of Kiev, which is one of the cities that's under fire at the moment.
Yeah.
He's actually the mayor of Kiev, Vitaly Klitschko. So so
just your thoughts as well on the sanctioning bodies who have decided to to press ahead with, we've seen across sport all over this week, FIFA, for example, the Formula One and other various governing bodies in sport have decided to withdraw any association with Russia. So for football, for example, Spartak Moscow have been eliminated from the Europa League. Formula One have withdrawn from holding their Grand Prix over there in Russia. And the sanctioning bodies now have said that they will not sanction any contests in Russia or anything like that. So, I don't know. Like, to be fair, I don't know how many they did sanction over there in Russia anyway. But, that going forward, they're not looking to do that. However, I think that I think Bivol is still going to... I don't think it affects the boxers because, Bivol, for example, will be defending his strap against Canelo. That's not going to be no issue. But, I think over there in Russia, I don't think they'll be sanctioning any fights over there. Got a spare thought out to the Russian boxers as well. I mean, I said this on a video last week that although what's going on is not good, I mean, we can't demonize them. They're not going to war. They didn't pull the trigger on this war. So, people like Bivol, Kovalev, those type of, well, maybe not Kovalev, but that's a different story. But people like Bivol, for example, and other Russian fighters, man, I mean, we can't demonize them.
Yeah, I mean, obviously boxing's not a team sport in that respect. So, They're individuals. I would imagine, though, they won't be allowed to fight under their flag. So I'm pretty sure that when Bivol enters the ring come May the 7th against Canelo, they probably won't allow him to fly the flag or
play the national
him
anthem.
to play the national anthem. I'm pretty sure that even if he has the Russian flag on his shorts or something like that, which he probably won't elect to do if he's smart. But yeah, that's the situation we're in. And boxing being an individual sport to a large degree, those same sanctions that were applied in team sports won't apply to boxing. And let's be honest, as you alluded to earlier, not many of those world title fights anyway would be taking place in Russia anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's not as affected as some other sports, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely.
But it was interesting that you talk about boxers. I know he's now retired, but one of the few Russian sportsmen that actually come out in support of their government has been, Alexander Povetkin.
I saw that.
Would he have done so if he was still boxing? I'm not so sure. But he came out this week and he said he supports his government.
Yeah, I did see that from Povetkin, yeah. And I thought that he had a good relationship with the likes of Usyk and, some of these other, Ukrainian boxers, man. But, hey, I don't know the half of it, man.
Well, I think when he was boxing, he was rumoured to be a favourite of Vladimir Putin, wasn't he? Because I know Putin does like his combat sports. I know, for example, Putin is a big fan of Khabib. He was the UFC star. He's now retired. And I'm pretty sure that he was also a fan of Povetkin when he was fighting. So there could be some personal relationship with Putin going on there as well, which is why he felt the need to come out and show his support. So,
yeah. Shout out to DS, man. Currently at home recovering from COVID. Get well soon, family. He's put here, good evening. He's still managing to tune into the show. So shout out to DS, man. I mean, we've both had that, so we know what it's like. I spoke to him earlier, man. He seems to be okay. Shout out to DS. I hope you're recovering well, bro.
Get soon, brother. Drink plenty of these. This will be a big help for you in recovering from COVID. I certainly found it anyway. Keep your water levels topped up.
Big Lou in the chat here. He's put, shouldn't ban athletes because of Putin. That's a joke. Punch Smollett said here, I'm sick of the hypocrisy and double standards. Asher said here, Povetkin is still hurting from the Vladimir beating. Let's move to AJ now. If that is the case, where it looks like where he won't be rematching Usyk anytime soon, it kind of gives him time to settle in with his new trainer. Worst kept secret in boxing. We don't know who that new trainer is, but it is looking like he's
training. Name dropping Virgil Hunter the other day.
Yeah, still not confirmed though officially.
Still not confirmed.
But yeah, I mean, this allows him to really have time to, get used to his new trainer and maybe have an interim fight in the middle.
I think he's probably going to need to do that, to be honest, while all this is worked out, because it would have been a long time since he's been back in the ring. And you know what? It's interesting because obviously Usyk's going to be out of the ring for quite a while. He may have a similar view when he comes back to boxing. I doubt if he's going to want to rush straight back in, is he? He's probably going to want to tune up fight too. Because like I said, what's happening in Ukraine is not something that's going to be resolved overnight. Well, it certainly doesn't appear to be anyway. No. So I think he's going to be out the ring for quite a while. I wouldn't like to say how long. I wouldn't like to speculate. But it would appear that he's going to be out the ring for quite some time. So be interested to see what happens when he does announce that he's ready to make a comeback to the ring. And if he goes straight in with AJ or he decides to have a tune-up, which would be his right, of course, because obviously what's happened there is not his fault.
Yeah. We'll see how it plays out. Got no idea. It's hard to judge. There's no real measuring stick on this particular scenario. So I guess we just have to leave it in the hands of the sanctioning bodies, man. And that's never a good thing, is it? Because you can't trust them.
I get the feeling you're going to see the belts carved up. I can't see all of those three. Is it the IBO, IBF, and WBA all singing on the same hymn sheet for that length of time? I think what you're going to do is see the belts separated again, which would be a real bad consequence of what's happened over there. It would be unfortunate. Maybe the winner of Fury and White might decide to try and unify those belts as well. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play out, man. You never really do know with boxing, do you? Money talks and everything else walks, man. So whatever financially suits the sanctioning bodies is what you'll see will happen.
Seeing some suggestions here for AJ, maybe someone against Ortiz or Andy Ruiz, Ortiz again or Otto Wallin. Harvey saying here, Wallin or Ortiz, both southpaws, of course. That would be good preparation for, well, at least some sort of preparation for Usyk. DS has said here, I heard the same, Laurie. If Virgil Hunter is AJ's new trainer, what's your thoughts on that?
Well, Virgil Hunter is a well-established trainer. The only thing I would say about Virgil Hunter, he has a reputation of being more of a defensive type of fighter, coach, sorry. Whereas a lot of people are speculating that what AJ needs is somebody that's a bit more aggressive. And your more aggressive coaches would be like your, say, for example, I'm not saying he would get the gig, someone like Freddie Roach, Teddy Atlas, even Bomac, you know, guys like that. I don't know. So I really don't know how it's going to go. But I have heard AJ name drop Virgil Hunter recently, saying how much he knows about the game and he's an excellent trainer, so forth, so forth. So he's not really given any strong clues, but the fact that he's name dropped Virgil Hunter recently could be an indicator. But Virgil Hunter is a very sound coach. Obviously, he's well known for his association with Andre Ward, and he's trained other fighters, including other British fighters as well, Amir Khan. And I was listening to Amir Khan the other week saying that despite him going with Bomac for his last fight with Kell Brook, he rated Virgil Hunter very highly. But I don't think I know he's been suffering from some illness, hasn't he? Which is, I think, one of the reasons why Amir Khan went to Bomac. So I don't quite know how it'll work out. We've been kind of kept in the dark about that. I would have thought that training situation should have been sorted out by now. I'm a little bit disappointed that AJ's left it this long, to be honest.
I think it is. I just don't think he's announced it.
I would have thought that would have been sorted by now, to be honest.
I don't think he's just announced. I think he has got it resolved. I just don't think he's announced it. Don't think he's announced it. One thing about Virgil Hunter is he's a good, he's someone who like puts an arm around you, and he's that kind of trainer, isn't he? He likes to develop that sort of relationship with his fighters. I think that might be good for AJ because AJ seems like the kind of character that would like that sort of thing. Do you know what I mean?
Or you might need a taskmaster, like a Joe Goosen, a Teddy Atlas, a Freddie Roach, somebody who's a bit more aggressive. Somebody, I don't know, man. Horses for courses, because listen, we all said after that Usyk fight that he needed to change his approach and go back to the old AJ and be a bit more aggressive. So if that is the case, then I'm not sure if Virgil Hunter would be the perfect coach for that type of style. Not to say that if he went with Virgil Hunter, it wouldn't be a success, but you see what I'm saying, is that Virgil Hunter is mainly known for the less aggressive side of the game, more technical, very strong on defense, stuff like that, more tactical than some of the other coaches who tend to adopt a more aggressive stance, get their fighters to throw more combinations and come forward more. So I don't know. And then, of course, Usyk's out of the equation for a while as well. So who knows? Who knows?
Yeah. Obviously, as Mohammed is saying here, he trains Joshua Buatsi as well right now. So that strengthens the link between them two. Obviously, Buatsi is linked with 258 Management. That's AJ's company. DS has said here, Ortiz or Hunter in America would be a good interim fight for him. I feel like he needs to go back to the scene of the crime and right the Ruiz wrong in America. Where is Andy Ruiz, by the way? What's going on with him?
Well, we don't know. I'm not so sure if there's a big clarion call for that fight, though, is there? After the second fight, which was, let's face it, is a bit of a disappointment on many levels. Not first of which is that Ruiz turned up to the fight in such poor shape. So that didn't do him any favors. He lost the fight comfortably, although it wasn't a very entertaining fight. And I got the impression after that last fight that no one was calling out for a third fight, to be honest. Did you hear that?
No.
I didn't. You know what I mean? I think the narrative was AJ righted the wrong of the first fight. It wasn't a pretty look. Let's move on to the next challenge. And that's what happened. So I'm not so sure about that one. I think the Joe Joyce fight is one that stands out to me. I think a lot of people would like to see that. But would that be a tune-up fight, or would that be for a world title? That's more likely to be for a world title in the event that Usyk is unavailable. For a sort of tune-up interim in the meantime, I'm not sure. There's so many potentials out there, but which one of those makes most sense for AJ?
Yeah, time will tell, man. We feel like we've been waiting for a long time, though. Like you said, Harvey said here, I think Sugar Hill would have been the best choice, but ironically, he's with Fury. Virgil Hunter seems to be the most likely, so we'll see. Ashley said here, turn on your super chat options, Darryl. I didn't even, you know what, bro? I didn't even realize. I didn't even. I'll sort that out after the show, bro. I'll sort that after the show. My bad. I didn't even realize we've gone past the 1K subs now, so that's eligible, isn't it? The super chat option. So yeah, I'll get onto that, Ash. My bad, bro. But I appreciate the comment. Michael Maxwell said here, Ruiz wanted it, but a third fight would play out the same as a second fight. Ruiz just needs to get back in the ring, man. Like that experiment over there, we don't know how well it's going. I'm pretty sure Canelo kind of went off on Andy Ruiz a little bit. We know he has been with Ryan Garcia.
Yeah.
Andy Ruiz as well, man. Like, look, if you're going to train with Eddie Reynoso, then there's a level of expectation that you got to keep up, man. And it seems like them two weren't doing it.
Well, you got to look at his last fight with Eddie Reynoso. It wasn't that great, was it? He fought Chris Arreola, let's face it, a Chris Arreola that's way past his best. And he struggled. He got dropped and he struggled. I mean, okay, he came through in the end, but was that down to youth and the fact that Chris Arreola can't really pull the trigger as he once was able to? So that didn't really seem to be a really fruitful relationship. And it seems to have gone a bit stale already, that, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And
I think so.
yeah, so, you know, at the end of the day, not every trainer suits every boxer, you know. People run over to Reynoso and think, yeah, it's going to be a good look. But in Ryan Garcia's case, it clearly wasn't. And it's interesting to note, as a little side, you've seen the way them two are going at it on Twitter. I think Ryan Garcia's response was quite interesting. Was he trying to throw shade there when he said about Canelo knowing the real reason why I didn't stay with Eddie Reynoso? There's a few people speculating certain things, man. You know what I mean? Was it? Was Ryan Garcia was he suggesting that he had been asked to do or been made to do things that he didn't want to do or take? I don't know. I'm just saying, bro. You know what I mean? I'm not saying it. I'm just saying what I've heard. Yes, it's a little mischievous, but if you go on Twitter, you will see what I'm talking about. There's a lot of speculation going on as to why Ryan Garcia left the camp and the comments that he's made since he's left the camp. That little Twitter spat he had with Canelo last week. So that's playing out in quite an interesting way. I'm sure you've seen the comments.
I've seen the comments, yeah, but I'm just like, yeah, I don't know, man. Right, just too much talking, Ryan Garcia, man. Just get in the ring. Do you know what I mean? Just get in the ring, man. I know he's due to
with Joe Goosen. He's gone with Joe Goosen, so we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, man. Yeah, interesting comments. I saw your comment, Ash, about Canelo and Ryan Garcia was suggested by Oscar there. Just a joke. Just shut up, man.
Yeah, that was nonsense.
It's just not even. It's some joke thing. It's not even worth discussing. But
maybe Oscar had one of his little powder episodes again that led to that talk. You know what I mean?
Since we're on the topic of, you know, Reynoso, Canelo, and that team, let's talk about that upcoming fight with Dimitri Bivol, man. That is confirmed. They had the first press conference yesterday. Listen, man. I don't know. I'm looking forward to this. I think Bivol presents a serious threat to Canelo. Not a threat worthy enough to beat him, but I think that he is a very good threat to Canelo. It's a good fight. I can't argue with Canelo on this fight. I can't.
It is a decent fight. My problem with this fight is that, to me, that combination, he was presented with two options, really. Bivol and Triple G and Charlo and Benavidez. And I'm sorry, but no one out there can persuade me that Bivol and especially Triple G was a better option than Charlo and Benavidez.
As a package, you're looking at it as a package, not individual fight. You're looking at it as you'd rather see Charlo and Benavidez than Bivol and Triple G. It's not like Charlo's better than Bivol and Benavidez.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the first option I spoke of is, to me, a much inferior option than the second one. And I don't know, man. I can't sort of raised the same level of enthusiasm for the Bivol fight that you are. I just think that's going to be a fairly pedestrian fight. Yes, I do think that Bivol does have a chance of winning, but then looking at Bivol's record, man, he's not had any KOs since 2018, and then some of the opponents have been, without being disrespectful, have not been the best. And if he couldn't get them out of there, he's not going to get Canelo out of there. Canelo has one of the best chins in boxing, as I keep saying on your show. And if it goes to points, the likelihood of Bivol getting a decision is extremely remote. And I'm talking Jack Catterall remote. You know what I mean? I'm talking about that level of remoteness. So I just don't see the lead up of the fight is, you know what I mean? Does Bivol even speak English? And even if he does, man, he's just not the type of character to really sell the fight. It's just underwhelming, bro. Trust me. For me, maybe it's because he was presented with the two options, and to me, he went for the easier one. I just can't get with it, bro.
Asher said here, I need to get you a Bivol tracksuit if he wins. Yeah, yeah.
He won't win, bro. He won't win. Mind you, I did say that about Catterall. I know Catterall didn't win, but you know, boxing's a sport. At times, it can be very unpredictable. Bivol does have skills. I'm not going to deny that. He's a very skilled fighter. He's got some very good wins on his record, but I don't think he's at that level where he's going to beat a Canelo. And I think the Triple G fight, that is a terrible fight. That is. Who wants to suck? Somebody show me one person in the world outside of those two immediate camps that wants to see Canelo in for a third fight with Triple G. Nobody wants to see that.
Maybe some casuals do. Maybe the casuals maybe casuals. I don't know, but there are a lot of fanboys out there.
I work in an office out there as well.
They might ask for it.
There's no one wants to see that fight, bro. Trust me, nobody. No one.
Asher said here the best fight would have been a combination of the two. Bivol and I'd say that would have been the best. Like if you were looking for the best fights, then it would have been a combination of both pairs.
I don't agree. I think Charlo and Benavidez.
Charlo over Bivol?
Yeah. I think that's a much better fight for me.
Not for me. I think Bivol's got more chance of beating Canelo than Charlo.
He may have a better chance, but the styles make it a much better fight.
That's what he's saying. The better fight.
I think that the type of person that's going to beat Canelo is somebody that can hurt him and be aggressive and pressure him, which is hopefully what Charlo would try and do. Because
but this is the thing you said. Yeah, but you said with the whole Charlo thing, if Canelo was to take that, you were saying that if he took that, then he got Charlo at the right time.
Yeah,
this and that.
I maintain that. That's why he should have taken the fight, because if you're going to fight Charlo, with Charlo's personal problems and the fact that he's clearly not on it the way he should be, that represents a better chance for Canelo. But so
so you think that Charlo that you're saying, who's like got personal issues, has got a better chance of beating him than Bivol has?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I am. Because, Daryl, listen to what I'm saying. Bivol is not going to get a points decision over Canelo. You have to understand that. He's not. That jab style's not going to get a decision over Canelo. In order to get even a semblance of a chance of a points win over Canelo, you're going to have to hurt this guy. You're going to have to back him up, be aggressive. Can you see Bivol doing that to, you've seen his fights. Can you see him doing that to Canelo?
Listen, man, exactly. I could say that, but listen, I didn't see Jack Catterall doing that to Josh Taylor last week.
Did he get the decision? Did he get the decision?
Yeah, but he should have got it.
Yeah, but no. Did he get the decision?
He didn't get the decision.
I've just said to you, Bivol will not get a decision over Canelo. And I've just explained why. Because will
Charlo get a decision over Canelo?
No, but
what you're saying
Charlo if you let me finish, Charlo has the ability to hurt Canelo in a way that Bivol doesn't. I don't believe anyway.
Charlo's not a bigger man, not a naturally bigger man. Do you think Charlo?
No, it doesn't come down to who's bigger. It's your fighting style. So what I'm saying is that Charlo is a puncher, and he's an aggressive puncher. He's the kind of guy that if he hurts you, this is based on what we've seen up until now, yeah? He's the kind of guy that if he hurts you, he's going to try and get you out of there. So I'm saying a guy like that, right, is more likely to inflict more damage on Canelo and go for the win rather than a guy like Bivol who's going to stay behind the jab, right, and come the end of those 12 rounds, if it goes 12, all three judges, 115, 115. You know it go. You know how this story goes.
Here's a question for you from Francisco. He said here, Laurie, if I remember correctly, you said that Plant would be a tougher fight for Canelo than Bivol. Is my memory wrong? If not, do you still feel that way? Did you say that?
I don't think I said that. What I said is that Caleb Plant would be a better fight and a tougher fight for him than Billy Joe Saunders, and I was proved right with that, to be honest. You know what I mean?
Mohammed says here, Laurie, if a time traveler said to you that Canelo loses in the future, who do you think it would be against?
I could see him losing to either Charlo or Benavidez.
Not Beterbiev?
Well, yeah, Beterbiev, but he won't fight Beterbiev. If he's smart, he don't go anywhere near that guy, man. And I don't blame him. You know what I mean? That guy's a beast, a real beast as well. Don't go near that guy.
Asher said here, Eddie Hearn wants one of the biggest Vegas gates of all time, hence Canelo Triple G 3.
I don't know about that. You might be miscalculating, bro, because like I said, I've not spoken to one person, either in person or online. I've not seen anybody advocating for that. Oh, yeah, I have. The usual suspects, Doug Fisher and Dan Rafael. Apart from those clowns, apart from those two sycophantic clowns, I've not seen anybody else raise a hand and say, yeah, I want to see Triple G. Everyone's forgotten about Triple G, bro. When was the last time he fought? And when he did fight, it was, come on, man. It was like watching paint dry, you know, man. And then he's fighting guys that shouldn't even be sharing a ring with him. No one wants to see that fight, bro. Well, not that I know of, anyway. Maybe you could tell me. Have you seen anyone, Darryl, that wants to see that fight?
Not really.
Want to see that fight?
Nah, it's not what I want to see. No, being honest. Ian Hamilton says here, Laurie, a question. With all the talk of Triple G being finished, wasn't that the narrative around Frazier for the third Ali fight when we got the thriller in Manila? I'm just asking.
Listen, man, I can't put Triple G in the same sentence as Joe Frazier, man. I'm sorry, I can't do it. I think that's borderline disrespectful for me to, with respect to Ian, who's a online brethren, of course, but nah, man, I'm not having that. Triple G is way past it. You know what I mean? He should have lost to Derevchenko. I mean, he fought some Polish guy. Name me that Polish guy that he fought in his last fight, though.
Schmetter
or something like that.
Yeah. Sorry, I butchered it.
How many, I mean, you were there, actually. How many people could come on here and would have been able to name that fight that he fought? And then he's got this fight coming up against Murata in Japan, apparently. That still can't get made. I mean, nobody wants to see that Triple G fight.
It's confirmed now for April that has been that fight.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
But yeah, I see what you mean. Sander B, you won't beat Canelo by being aggressive. He is a counter puncher. So he's saying you got to outbox him.
Yeah, but when you outbox him, you're not going to get the decision.
Francisco says here, I think Canelo wins, but not as easily as Laurie thinks. Bivol's size, jab, and boxing ability will give Canelo some problems. And I hope Murata wins because I don't want Canelo Triple G 3. Yeah, I hope Murata wins as well.
Listen, I never said that Canelo will beat Bivol easy. I just said that the style dictates that he won't get the win because I don't see him stopping Canelo, right? I could see him winning some rounds based on the fact that he's naturally a bigger man and he's got the longer reach and a good jab, etc., etc. And certainly in the early rounds, he might deploy a bit of foot movement. You know what I mean? Canelo does lose rounds. Every fight he's had, he's lost rounds in the early rounds, but he always comes on strong. And I'm telling you that when he starts to walk Bivol down the stretch, even though Bivol will be sticking out that jab and the odd right hand, that's not going to be enough to get the win. So that's what I'm saying. What you need when fighting Canelo is somebody that can make, unless you're a master boxer like what Floyd put on him, you need somebody that's going to be aggressive, somebody that can hurt him, somebody that can back him up a little bit, show him that he has to have that respect. If you remember, that's what Triple G did in the first fight, didn't he? Remember in the first fight he had there?
Yeah.
He had Canelo backing up, yeah? So that's why when it went to the cards, and even then he didn't get the win. Even then he didn't get the win, did he? This is what I'm saying, bro. Like, it's virtually impossible to beat that guy on the cards. That's just the way boxing is at the moment. And indeed, we saw an example of that last week when the house fighter, especially when he's coming forward, even if he ain't doing diddly squat like Josh Taylor last week, the judges are going to side with him.
Yeah, we'll see. Harvey says here that Charlo won't be able to hurt Canelo either. Remember, Charlo ain't had a stoppage against a half-decent opponent for a while. Do you know what I mean? Will he be able to move up and hurt Canelo? You know, we have to consider that.
I just think it's a much better fight anyway. I just think it's a better fight in terms of the way you market the two fighters.
I think you're more on about the build-up. I think you're more on about the build-up than the fight, man. That's why I honestly think you're more.
Listen, let's be honest, right? A Charlo at his best and a Bivol at his best against Canelo. To me, the Charlo fight is a lot more exciting, bro.
Exciting. Anyway. Is it more difficult? Is it more exciting? Yeah, but is it more difficult? That's what I want to know.
And I think if he can fight in that style, I think he has what it takes to hurt Canelo and to be more of a threat than Bivol does. That's what I personally think. And then the Benavidez fight, come on, man, that would be a great fight to watch. Benavidez is a high output guy. He can punch. He's got the height, the reach, the range. You know what I mean? He's got the youth. That would be a very dangerous fight for Canelo. Canelo don't seem to want that fight for some reason. His response to those two is, you two fight each other. And you know what I mean? Which is what I said to you on the show last week, you know, because Canelo wants them two guys to batter each other, and then maybe he can pick off what's left of them. You know what I mean?
Punch Smollett said here, Triple G was the last real fight Canelo had. Yeah. Listen, I have to be real, man. I'm not angry at this fight at all, man. I'm not.
Why? Why are you so excited about this fight with Bivol?
No, like I'm not like, oh, really. I just think that, look, he's moved. They're fighting at 175 pounds. That's Bivol's natural weight class. It's a legit fight. It's for a belt up at a higher weight against a legit undefeated champion that's very technical, very proficient. He can dig. You know, we have seen that. He's a good fighter. He's a very good fighter, Dimitri Bivol. I've got no complaints about this fight at all. I think it's a good fight, honestly.
Listen, you're right insofar as it is on paper a very competitive fight. But all I'm saying to you is that given the two options, to me, the Bivol Triple G fight is by far the lesser of the two options. You know what I mean? The Charlo Benavidez fight is way better. It's not even close, bro. Like, you know what I mean? And I know Charlo's going through one or two things at the moment. He's not the most professional outside the ring, but he's still unbeaten in it. So it's not like, you know what I mean? It's affected him that adversely that he's not performing in the ring. It's just that I was saying that if I was Canelo and I'm going to fight Charlo, surely this is the time to fight him when he's somewhat distracted. But it seems that even if he's distracted, Canelo still don't want to know. Do you not find that strange, though? That his name has been mentioned with Charlo so many times, and he still can't find it within himself to give Charlo that shot. I just find that really strange. For somebody that's pound for pound, best fighter in the world, hands down, we keep getting told this. Certain guys are put before him, and he always swerves it. Why is that? Somebody explain to me why.
I honestly don't think he's scared or whatever or ducking Charlo. I don't think he's ducking Charlo, man. I don't think he's ducking.
You don't
Charlo.
think so? Huh?
No.
Okay.
No. I mean, well, Charlo ain't been turning up no trees, has he? He's not been, like you said yourself. He ain't been looking that great. Well,
no, but recently, but you have to remember, his name has been linked with Jamal Charlo from when they were middleweights. We're talking like 3, 4, 5 years ago now, and he still can't get the fight. Nor can Andre. I'm just kind of like really fixated as to why that fight not being made. You know what I mean?
Like Canelo said the other day, man. Like he was. I need to find that what he said.
Yeah, he said
if I fight this guy, you're gonna moan. If I fight this guy, you're gonna say I'm ducking him. If I fight this guy,
who wanted the Bivol fight? Who would if he'd have gone for? Listen, let me reverse the question. If he'd have gone for Charlo and Benavidez, right? Do you think anyone would be complaining, or do you think they would say, "Oh no, I'd rather see Bivol and Triple G"?
I certainly wouldn't complain. I wouldn't complain.
You would have had a few people complain because they were wanting him to take the softer route. But everybody, I'm sure everybody would have said, you know what? At last, we're going to get those two. That's what we all want to see. The Canelo fanboys would have said, yeah, at last he's going to shut these guys up. I would have said, you know what? Fair play to Canelo. He could have taken the lesser option, gone for the better option. Bang, I 100% respect. You beat those two guys. He shuts people like me up for all time's sake, though. But no. And to me, I'm going to say this, right? I'm going to say this as well. It was very I predicted that he would go that route, didn't I? Remember when we spoke about this 3-4 weeks ago, whenever it was? I predicted that he would go for that option.
It's not surprising. Wants to work with Eddie, man. Wants to work with his boy, innit? Punch Mullet said here, them two should be fighting each other anyway. He's talking about Charlo and Benavidez, and he's saying, why are you giving them a pass? Why are you not saying that they should
give them a pass? How am I giving them a pass? I'm saying that is the combination that I would have preferred. And
yeah, but he's saying that them two should be saying them two should be fighting each other.
Punch Smollett, right? Be honest with yourself. When you speak to guys on road and go in chat rooms and WhatsApp groups and you go online, how many people were crying out for this Bivol fight? No one was. That I saw anyway. No one was. There was a few people, like I said, the sycophantic sort of cult-like guys who were called your Dan Raphaels and people like that who saying, oh, I don't see anything wrong with a Triple G. But it's obvious why these guys are saying it, man. Because they've been riding on Canelo's nutsack for years and they want to see him keep his belts. So they're reasoning that, yeah, if he fights Bivol and Triple G, it represents a lesser threat than the other two. That's the way I'm reading it anyway.
Our boy Javier in here, he's a Canelo fan. He said here, it don't matter who Canelo fights, the haters are going to continue to hate on Canelo. They're going to hate on him, man.
I'm not hating, bro. I'm just expressing I'm not hating, right? It doesn't really matter to me at the end of the day, man. I'm still going to live my life. But all I'm saying from a boxing perspective, I would have preferred to see him take on those other two guys. And like I keep saying to you, his name has been linked with Charlo now for a number of years. And I just find it strange that he's at no time ever sought to fight this guy. I just find that somewhat strange. I'm just saying. Same with Benavidez. His name has been linked with Benavidez now for a few years. And he won't entertain the thought. And I'm just scratching my head as to why.
DS is saying here, problem is if Canelo, I said this earlier, problem is if Canelo took the Charlo Benavidez route, some sections would have accused him of ducking Bivol.
No, well, how would he be accused of ducking at Bivol? They're at different weights.
Well, so
Charlo.
He ain't fought at super middleweight yet.
Super middle. Charlo's moved up to super middle for the fight. Benavidez is there. They've been linked with each other at middleweight as well. Bivol has always been at light heavy. So I don't think people would have said, yeah, he's ducking me. You know what I mean? Bivol should be taking on Beterbiev. That's who he should be fighting. Yeah? I think we both agree on that. How many years now has he been a champion? He's never once uttered the word Beterbiev out of his mouth.
Who? Canelo? Well, Bivol you're talking about.
Yeah, Bivol. He's not mentioned Beterbiev not even once. And when you see the way Beterbiev walks through opponents, you can see why as well.
Yeah. Big up Punch Smollett. He's saying, I don't know, man. I rate Bivol higher than Charlo. I rate him higher than Charlo as well, if I'm honest, man. I rate Bivol higher than Charlo. I do. Especially now, like you said, with him not being at his best, not outside of the ring. I think Bivol is more of a threat to Canelo than Charlo. Maybe not.
Well, you know what? These things I'm never going to convince you, just like you're never going to convince me. It's subjective. I just think that fight, to me, I'm not excited about that Bivol fight. I'll watch it. Listen, I love boxing, man, and I don't really have no horse in the race when it comes to Bivol and Canelo, right? I don't really care. In fact, to be honest, I'd rather Canelo won for the good of boxing, to be honest. But if it's a case where he gets in there and he deserves to lose, then obviously may the best man win. But I'm telling you now, I've got no excitement leading into that fight, none at all, because I just think that there's much better fights that could be made. And if he beats Bivol, which I think he will, I won't be, oh man, he went up to light heavyweight and beat Bivol. I will not be doing that, bro, because I just won't. And it's not like I'll be looking at him as the true light heavyweight champion, because we all know who that is. So whatever way you want to cut and slice it, bro, I'm not excited about that fight at all. If he wins, fair play to him. He would have gone up in weight and beaten another champion. I guess that's a very good thing on his resume. But I'm just not excited about that fight. One iota.
Okay. Mohammed says here, according to these journalists, if you talk against Canelo, you're a hater. Well, yeah, Laurie's.
Oh, yeah, apparently so. Apparently so, yeah. But I don't care, man. I just express my opinion. I know it comes from my heart. I know I'm being honest. I've got, like I said, I've got no hate in my bones for, well, I was going to say hate in my bones for any fight. I don't like Chris Colbert. No, but listen, on a serious note, I don't hate no fighter. There's fighters out there that I'm not too keen on. I mentioned Chris Colbert. You've heard me speak previously about Teofimo, about Tyson Fury on occasions, and Joseph Parker. You know what I mean? There are fighters that get under my skin a little bit, and I express it that way. But there's no fighters that I really hate. It's not a matter of hate, bro. It's just that Canelo gets lavished with all this praise. And, you know what I mean, a lot of the time he does deserve the praise, but then it goes beyond that to this almost like cult-like status that he's got with certain people. And I don't think that's justified, because I think he's definitely strategically managed his career, i.e. ducked a lot of fighters over the years. And he don't get called out for it, bro. The minute you say that, oh, you're hating. Oh, how could you say that? Remember when the Makubu fight was being made? I laughed out loud when that was mentioned, man. And people
well, it might be in December. What Ash is saying here.
Exactly. I got called a hater for saying, oh, you know what I mean? How can you criticize him? He's going up to cruiserweight. Who else is doing that? I'm like, yeah, if he does that, wow. There's better fights to be made than Makubu. And then all of a sudden that went away, didn't it? So obviously the likes of him and Eddie Hearn, whoever else is involved, they probably sat down for, actually, you know what? The Makubu fight's not really going to get much traction amongst people. So
yeah. Let's move on anyway, man. We've got other topics to talk. We could talk Canelo for hours, man. I swear, it feels like it anyway.
I think Canelo's one of those fighters, man. I don't think he is one of those that polarizes a lot of opinion, because just as I'm saying this to you here, and people are going to come at me, I've spoken to loads of people who share the exact same view as I do. So you know what I mean?
Yeah, let's divert.
It's one of those where we have to agree to disagree.
Yeah, let's divert, man. Let's talk about Dillian Whyte and his no-show at the Tyson Fury press conference yesterday. Not yesterday, sorry. A couple of days ago? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, a couple of days ago. Tickets went on sale on Wednesday. That's what I was meant to say. But
just say recently for the benefit.
Yeah, we'll say recently. Yeah, we'll say recently. But listen, Dillian Whyte obviously wasn't in attendance for the press conference. I saw Frank Warren, steam coming out of his ears. Tyson Fury didn't seem to care too much, really. But yeah, Dillian Whyte, a no-show. Was that surprising to you? Obviously, Ash is asking here about John Fury and Carl Frampton. The less said about John Fury, the better. But I'll let you talk.
He's another one. When I was going at John Fury, remember, Daryl? I've consistently on these shows described the man in various ways as a bully, as a clown, as somebody who's obnoxious. People said, oh, you're a Fury hater. You're seeing it though, aren't you? But anyway, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, just your thoughts on that whole episode, man. The press conference, the White no-show, John Fury being an asshole, like all of that.
Well, firstly with the Dillian Whyte thing, Dillian's not said a lot recently, so we don't actually know why he didn't turn up, although there's speculation it's a kind of silent protest at the purse splits. What I would say is him not turning up doesn't seem to have affected ticket sales, has it? Because if what we're hearing is true, then the fight is pretty much sold out already, or on its way to being sold out. Personally, I would have liked Dillian to have showed up. I don't know the 100% the reason why he didn't show up, although, like I said, I'm speculating like a lot of other people are, is that he's unhappy with the way he's been treated in the lead up to getting the fight signed and the purse bids and all that. But I would say that I hope he doesn't do it again, because at some point he will have to meet his obligations in terms of promoting the fight. And I was quite looking forward, actually, to press conference. I remember me and you spoke about this fight before. We were saying that one of the things that's going to be entertaining about this whole fight will be the build-up. But yeah, so there will be further press conferences. Let's hope he attends the next one.
Yeah. Big up my man Bon Kui up here in the chat. He says, what does Dillian Whyte have to do in order to beat Fury? Does he have a chance?
He has a chance. He has a puncher's chance. I can't see him outboxing Fury. But then I said last week that I couldn't see Catterall outboxing Taylor. But yeah, I can't see Dillian outboxing Fury over 12 rounds, but I could see him hurting Fury. I could see him dropping Fury. I could see him opening up those cuts and the scar tissue that Tyson Fury has over both eyes, by the way, that nearly saw him get stopped against Otto Wallin. So yes, in answer to your question, Dillian has a real chance. He's got to get himself in the best possible shape. He's got to go in there with a good game plan. He's got to be able to execute the game plan, which will be pressure, and more pressure. Because I think that this version of Tyson Fury is not the fleet-footed Tyson Fury that sort of dance rings around Klitschko or use a lot of lateral movement against Klitschko. He's older now. He's slower. He's putting a lot of weight. He says he has a different fighting style. Those things, if you think about it, kind of play into Dillian's hands a lot more. And then you also don't want to discount too much. You don't want to overemphasize it, but you don't want to take it too lightly. The fact that they've shared a ring in sparring, and apparently Dillian did very well against him in sparring. So maybe Dillian's got that style that Tyson Fury may find difficult to handle.
What I will say is Dillian Whyte has been inactive, hasn't fought. It will be over a year since he's been in the ring when he does step in the ring against Fury. And Dillian Whyte, for me, is somebody that needs to be active. He was active before. He's not one of them natural guys where you can be out of the ring for 2 years or however long and come back and you just flow again. He seems to be someone that has to be in his rhythm. And he'll be been out of the ring for a year. Are we overlooking that? The fact that he ain't been in the ring for over a year when he steps in against Fury. Fury obviously was in the ring last December. So he'll be a lot more fresh than Fury in terms of ring activity.
Yeah.
That might
that is a good point. But what I would say about that, you have to remember that Dillian is a completely different style to Deontay Wilder. And as we always say on this show, you and me, stars make fights. So just because he manhandled and knocked out Deontay, even though he had to get up off the floor to do it, doesn't mean to say he's going to do a similar thing to Dillian. Dillian's going to present different problems. Dillian has an excellent jab when he chooses to use it. He also has a very decent left hook and a right hand. In fact, the left hook is probably his best power punch. Dillian's put people to sleep with that left hook, man. You know what I mean? He's put people to sleep. Povetkin, he's put to sleep with it. The Australian guy, I always forget his name.
Lucas Brown.
Lucas Brown slept him with that left hook, right? Slept Chisora with that left hook. Dropped Joseph Parker, and Joseph Parker, for all his other what we call as faults, or you know what I mean, these negatives. We've always said on this show that Joseph Parker is a tough dude with a good chin, and Dillian dropped him. I think Dillian was the first one to ever drop him. So if Dillian lands with that shot, bro, do not, you know what I mean? Tyson Fury has been decked on quite a few occasions.
Well, Sander B is saying he's worried about Dillian Whyte's chin.
Well, alternatively, Dillian can be dropped as well. So, yeah, this could be a very good fight because I think at some point they're going to stand and trade, and it could be who lands first. Yeah. With a big shot. I mean, don't forget, Steve Cunningham almost flatlined Tyson Fury. You know what I mean? So he has. I'm reading a lot of stuff. Easy fight for Fury. Dillian's got no chance. Rare. Don't sleep on that, bro. You know what I mean? Because if Dillian comes in there prepared, which is what I suspect. See, what I think Dillian's game plan is to do, I think he wants to slip slightly under the radar. Have people think that, you know what I mean, he's not turning up to the press conferences. He don't believe in himself. It's an easy fight for Fury. And Dillian's not doing much, but he's probably over there in Portugal where he's based himself now. And he's training like a beast out there. So I think that's what part of their game plan is, to be honest. You could see he's not really engaging with Fury at the moment.
Bon Kui is saying here that you're explaining everything very well. So, yeah, not everyone's up here against you, man. They're saying that, you know what I mean? So, yeah, Bon Kui, big up yourself, bro. Good to have you back here in the chat as well, man.
No, but that's the way. That's just the way I see it. You know what I mean? And listen, if you was to ask me to put money on it, which I'm not a gambling man, then, you know, if you gave me your money to put on it, you know what I mean? Fury would have to be the favorite. And I acknowledge that because he's got the better resume. He's unbeaten. I mean, he's got the better physical dimensions. So clearly you're going to look at Fury and say, yeah, he's the favorite. But as we all know, as we all got a perfect example of last week, boxing doesn't always play out like that. You know what I mean? One punch can change the trajectory of a whole fight. if not the fight, in an instant. We
Harvey
saw
saying,
Otto
yeah,
Walling. We saw Otto Walling. He was supposed to be easy work, wasn't he? He was supposed to be light work in preparation for Deontay Wilder. He nearly upset the apple cart. In fact, a lot of people said that he should have been awarded a stoppage that day.
Yeah, it was a bad cut anyway. But listen, man, ticket sales for this fight gone very well. But there's been some dispute over these ticket sales. I had a couple of friends that were lining up to buy tickets, man. And then when they got in the queue, I'm sure some of the guys here in the chat can relate as well. Big up to WM, by the way. Quite a few people saying, look, man, I was in the queue. All of a sudden, there were all these thousands of bots ahead of me. And then I wasn't able to get my ticket. Then not long afterwards, the tickets were on StubHub for triple the price. They think that Frank Warren might have tried a thing. Obviously, I'm not saying that. I don't know.
Allegedly,
yeah, I'm not saying that he did, but Frank Warren used to go off at Eddie Hearn about that same thing. And like, I remember I saw Frank Warren's interview the day before, and he was very confident. He said, I'm going to come on here tomorrow and tell you how many tickets we sold. So he seemed very confident, man. I'm not saying that means anything, but listen, ticket demand, I was quite surprised. I'm not going to lie. I didn't expect there to be that sort of ticket demand for it.
Nor did I. And I'll tell you another story as well. This is a true story. You know the guy too, Turkish. I worked with Turkish at AFTV. And that experience you described with those people who were trying to get tickets, I tell you now, because I was in the office with him yesterday, he went on that route too to try and get tickets, and he couldn't get them. And then later on, he went on another site, and the same ticket that he would pursue in for a certain price had more than tripled. So what you're saying there, Daryl, is absolutely 100% true, because I saw evidence of it of my own eyes yesterday in the office with Turkish. And like you said, I was a little surprised. I was a little bit surprised at how fast the tickets went, because I knew that this would be a popular fight. But hitherto, I'd never seen Tyson Fury as this like major ticket seller. You know what I mean? But then again, it is a all British showdown. Fury hasn't fought in this country. I think it's 4 years now. Does he even have a license to fight in this country?
No, but I think he's applied to fight under a different license. Yeah.
Which is another thing that I've found kind of interesting, because it's the whole demeanor of Tyson Fury. First of all, they've got the fight on the 23rd of April, which you and others will know is St. George's Day in this country. And then I noticed that Tyson Fury has been playing up the British side a lot recently. Have you noticed that? I mean, hitherto, when he was fighting Deontay in America, he was saying he didn't wish to be known as a British fighter. He was happy to give up his British license. I don't care about Britain. They don't respect me because I'm a traveler. Rare. I'd rather go and fight in America with Bob Arum. Rare. All of a sudden now, he's turned that on its head. And he's proclaiming himself to be a Brit and all the rest of it. Interesting. But anyway, the fight is here. And I won't be able to go on the day, but I will probably buy the pay-per-view. So I will be supporting the fight.
You'll be doing a watch along, no?
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But even if I wasn't, I would have bought the fight. You know me, I would have bought the fight. So
you reckon there might be a bit of tension up in there? You know, some of White's boys from Brixton, and you know,
most definitely.
Fury in the traveling community. That could erupt, you know.
Yeah, most definitely.
That could erupt, especially with the build-up being as it is. Do you know what I mean? So. Yeah,
we'll see. I think Dillian's going to play under the radar a little bit. And if you notice, even Tyson Fury, he wasn't really going all out on the insults, was he?
Not really. I've seen worse from him.
Yeah, I've seen worse from him as well. But I mean, this is only stage one. We'll have to see how it materializes. But Dillian's not said anything. Tyson said the usual stuff. He didn't even call him a dosser, did he? I don't even recall him using that word. He was saying he was going to win and where are you and all that lot, but he wasn't over-egging it like what he's done when he fought Wilder and stuff like that. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'll just have to be real, man. DS is saying, yeah, preach it, Laurie. So yeah, you're saying what a lot of people agreeing with you on this about Fury.
Yeah,
man.
I mean, listen, Fury, I follow Fury, and like you said, he's not my cup of tea in a number of different ways, man. And I see the hypocrisy in it. Or like I said, all of a sudden the man's talking Brit talk now. It's all about Britain. Whereas before, he's saying he wanted to be an American fighter. falling out of love with Britain. Rare. You know what I mean? I don't get no respect over here. They're racist against travelers, which listen, I'm sure that is the case. Speaking as somebody from a community that's been discriminated against and continues to get discriminated against in this country, I understand where he's coming from and all that. But nevertheless, he's made that quantum leap, innit? Mm-hmm. In fact, before, way back, he was proclaiming himself as Irish, wasn't he? Remember when Tyson Fury, he fought for the Irish title
earlier in his career, wasn't it?
I remember when he fought for that Irish title, he had his training camp in Luton.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
remember that? Yeah. And he was proclaiming himself as the Irish champ. I think he had a go at Frampton, didn't he? Before, years ago, for fighting for the British title rather than an Irish one. So listen, man, I've always said Tyson Fury is a morass of contradictions. And you mentioned as well his dad having a go at Frank. I thought that was
to leave Frampton alone, man.
That was disgusting. That was, man. Yeah, I remember Tyson Fury. He said he was gonna. He led a march, didn't he, on some pub where a traveller guy had allegedly been discriminated against. Remember that? It was on. He posted it on YouTube, and he was there with a megaphone shouting, "Travellers' lives matter" or something like that. Listen, I'm not trying to minimise what he did, but I'm just giving you the timeline, you know what I mean? He did that, and then he was talking about hosting some big march on the Houses of Parliament to stand in favour of travellers' rights. So, you know what I mean? He has a pretty storied timeline when it comes to stuff like that.
Sander B makes a point here. He said, Tyson is a good character, hate him or not, but we need guys like him in boxing. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to like everyone.
Listen, man, I didn't say I hate him. I don't like some of the stuff he does. But one thing, just like Canelo, I will give him his full respect as a fighter. I don't hate Tyson Fury. I'm just pointing out some of the anomalies and some of the idiosyncrasies and, dare I say it, a lot of the contradictions that is Tyson Fury.
He also says here, John Fury is an idiot. And this is the thing. I want to tell you about this, Laurie, yeah?
Yeah, go ahead.
Frampton expressed that Frampton is one of the most accomplished fighters in British boxing. Do you know what I mean? What he's done. And like, he's gone on TV, or if it was on TV or not, he shared his opinion about how he thinks a certain fight would go. These lot are all coming after him for sharing an opinion. This is one reason why I just don't think I could move into that sort of area. Maybe it might change down the line. But interviewing fighters and having to watch what you say and, oh, yeah, I can't offer my opinion on this because if I do, I'm going to get this guy coming up to me, confronting me about it. Like, how dare you confront Frampton?
Yeah, I felt sorry for Carl Frampton, man, because Carl Frampton was just being honest in his assessment. He said what a lot of people said. I said that I predicted that Jake Paul would beat Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury's done nothing to suggest otherwise, in my opinion. If you look at some of those guys, people kept going on about the guys that Jake Paul fought. And yes, he does deserve some criticism for that. But then you look at some of the fighters that Tommy Fury's fight. Seriously, when you get the time, Daryl, go and look on BoxRec. Some of those records were like, they'd lost like 100 fights and stuff like that. You know what I mean? Ridiculous. And, you know, Carl Frampton expressed an opinion that a lot of people share, that Tommy Fury's not that good and that he'd favour Jake Paul to beat him. Now, if you're in boxing, you're going to get people that pick against you. The Fury should know this by now. For John Fury to stand there, you know what I mean, 6'4", bearing down on Carl Frampton, pointing his finger in his face very aggressively, I thought that was so disrespectful, man. Especially to a guy like Carl Frampton that's a very accomplished British fighter, seems like a decent guy as well. And for them to do that, to bushwhack him like that with the cameras on, just so you can, nah, man, that was bang out of order. And this is what I was saying about John Fury. I've got no time for the guy, man. Lack of class. And then you had Tommy Fury saying things like, what does Carl Frampton know about box? Are you serious, bro? Tommy Fury, are you serious? You need to go check yourself, bro. Carl Frampton is a legend of Irish boxing, bro.
He's forgot more about boxing than you'll ever know, mate.
Some people say, and I'm not necessarily saying it, but there are a lot of people that say that Carl Frampton is probably the most accomplished Irish boxer of all time. And you're looking in that man's face and saying, you don't know nothing about boxing. Oh, please, man. Show some respect.
Yeah, it's terrible, man. Yeah. This is the thing, man. This is why you can't offer an opinion anymore without these guys getting emotional and upset.
Let's ignore
It's
them,
just
bro.
ridiculous, man.
Them.
It's ridiculous.
And that's what's so great about shows like this, not to, blow our own trumpets, you know what I mean? But it's so good when you don't have to go with the narrative that a lot of people out there push. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to stop calling out these people names. Everybody that watches this show knows who I'm talking about. These guys who push a certain narrative and they expect everybody to fall in line, like we haven't got a brain for ourselves, like we don't think for ourselves. We see these things, bro. You know what I mean? And we're entitled to our opinion. So especially someone like Carl Frampton, who is considered to be a legend of British boxing. Let's have it right. He is a legend in recent years, right? He's one of the best fighters that's been produced in these shorts. Yeah. So for Tommy Fury and his dad to be attacking him like that, just because he said he thinks that Jake Paul would beat him, I think it's scandalous. And it reflects very poorly on those two.
Yeah. Terrible, man. Let's move on anyway. I'm conscious of the time. Want to get your thoughts on, it was announced this week that the British Boxing Board of Control are now going to be looking into, I don't think they've concluded their investigation yet, but they'll be looking into the whole Catterall-Taylor scoring, that particular fight. Jack Catterall has since responded and has said, what's the point of them investigating themselves? Like, what? I'm not going to get anything out of this. So just your thoughts on this, lawyer, while I just turn the camera off and find the charger for this laptop.
Two things spring to mind. If you have a body that's investigating their own selves, then what is the point really of that investigation? And secondly, I saw an interview with what's his name now, Rob Smith, where he said that they're having the investigation, but I can say outright, none of my officials or referees are corrupt. Now, he shouldn't have said that to me. That's inappropriate speech, because that's why you're having the investigation, surely, to determine if anything's gone wrong, if any corruption's taken place. So if you're taking that off the table before the investigation's even started, that shows that the investigation's it's not fit for purpose, surely. Did you hear what I was saying?
Yeah, I heard everything.
Yeah. So if people are pressuring you to have an investigation because they think that something untoward's happened, and you're saying nothing untoward's happened, then what's the point of you going through with the so-called investigation? Because supposedly the investigation did uncover something untoward. What are you going to say then? Is he going to stand down then? Because you've categorically said that there's no corruption. I could categorically say I'm not corrupt and none of my officials are corrupt. Listen, he could say he's not corrupt, but you cannot talk about the other three until you carried out the investigation. So straight away, I've got no confidence in that investigation. What is that going to achieve? He's already said as well. You see, he's coming out with things that he should not be saying ahead of the investigation. So, so for example, he said, I watched the fight back. I scored it to Catterall, but at the end of the day, it was a very close fight. It could have gone either way. I could see why the judges scored it the way. So what are you having an investigation for then? So what you're basically saying, that the investigation is just window dressing. You're just doing it because people are putting pressure on you. That's basically
the only reason. That's the only reason.
That's the only reason. So you might as well not bother doing it, because none of us have got confidence in you that anything's going to be achieved out of this so-called investigation, because you've already rubbished it by your own statements. So, and like you said as well, Daryl, a bit like with the police. If someone makes an allegation about the police and then the police investigate the police, what do you think's going to happen, Daryl? What do you really think's going to happen?
Nothing.
Not much, is it? If anything at all. So the decision's not going to be overturned. He's already said as well that they've got no jurisdiction to overturn the decision, which we all knew that anyway. So really, truly, what's he going to say?
Yeah.
I'll tell you what he's probably going to, the outcome of all this. Oh, we're going to put them through some extensive, more training. They're going to receive training.
Yeah.
Listen, man, most people, I wouldn't say anybody, most people that have a clue about boxing and how to score fights, right? Listen, you know what? Correct me if I'm wrong here. I didn't think that fight last week was that hard to score, to be honest. I'm being honest now.
I'll be for real. I didn't see. I don't
Yeah,
see.
I don't see why people like Rob.
We're just drunken fans to him, though. We're just drunken fans. That's what he just.
Yeah, apparently.
You know what I mean?
But I could tell you, I wasn't drunk when I was watching it, and I was scoring it as I go along, right? As I always do with these big fights. And I had Catterall winning, I think it was by 4 or 5 rounds. Now, let's say I was exaggerating, and he only won by 3 rounds. He's still a clear winner. Everybody that I respect that saw that fight said that they thought Catterall won. I heard that Andre Ward, who's a guy I got tremendous amount of respect for, he said it could have gone either way because he said that Catterall kind of took his foot off the gas towards the end of the fight and he may not have done enough to get the win. But then you also have to remember that the position with which Andre Ward is approaching his fight, he's working for a network that promote Josh Taylor. That has to be taken in. He's got a vested interest in saying it. I'm sorry, but it's true. But if you speak to the neutrals and you did a poll, I'm telling you that over 90% would say that Jack Catterall won that fight. I didn't think it was that hard to score.
No, not for me. I had it 8 rounds to 4. Jack Catterall.
Yeah, I had it very similar. I think I might have gave Catterall by 5 to them because he knocked Taylor down. He landed a better shots throughout. And even when Taylor was forcing the issue towards the end of the fight, he was not landing clearly, unless you're going to count kidney punches and stuff like that. It was a scrappy fight towards the end there. But even then, Catterall seemed to be doing more than enough to win the rounds, in my opinion. And he should have been a clear winner. Yeah.
Listen, overall, at the end of the day, Catterall won more rounds than Taylor for me. And he knocked him down and he still didn't get it.
Didn't get it.
Come on, man. But like, it's just.
And they both had points taken off, so that was neutralized.
Yeah, that balances it out. Yeah.
The referee was dreadful. Not for the first time, by the way. And Ian John Lewis's scorecards in question, again, not for the first time. And listen, I understand that boxing is a subjective sport, but as I said to you earlier, I don't believe that this was a particularly hard fight to score. There wasn't that many rounds where I was thinking, who shall I give that one to? Unless you're looking at it through the prism that Josh Taylor was getting his ass completely handed to him over the first 8 rounds. And maybe you thought, well, in rounds 9, 10, 11, and 12, well, actually, he did better than he was doing before, so I'll give him that round. And even then, Jack Catterall would have won 8-4 on the scorecards.
Yeah.
Or 7-5. I mean, come on, man. It's like, it was clear robbery. Now, what I would say about this and all the furore that's happened post-fight is a point that my colleague and my good friend Shane made, Shane Willoughby. Shout out to Shane. I know you're watching this. Big up yourself, bro. He made a very good point when we were talking about this on your after-fight show, Darren. And he was saying he finds it hard to take the complaints of some of these guys too seriously because when it works in their favor, nobody don't say anything. And he's right about that.
Yeah.
Because a couple of weeks before, I thought Danny Jacobs was robbed against Ryder, and there was nowhere near this outpouring of grief that there has been for Jack Catterall. Yes, he's a British fighter, so of course you're going to get more people. But you know what I'm saying? I understand Shane's point. You know what I mean? And then you had people like Eddie Hearn coming out, oh, corruption, it was terrible. He's only saying that because he never promoted the show. Because some of the biggest robberies I've seen have been on Eddie Hearn shows, and he's not said nothing. At least Ben Shalom, at least he acknowledged that there was a problem and said he had a, you know what I mean?
That was refreshing.
Yeah, that was refreshing to hear. That's something I've never heard Eddie Hearn say. If that was, I guarantee you now, if Eddie Hearn had been promoting Josh Taylor and that would have been his show, he would have said words to the effect of, I thought it was a close fight, could have gone either way, but I thought Josh did enough to nick it. You know, that's the narrative he would have pushed. When Katie Taylor got a backside absolutely handed to her by Delphine Pursoon in that first fight, did you hear Eddie Hearn say, oh, it was a robbery? This and that? No, he didn't. He went along with the narrative because he's busy pushing Katie Taylor's pound for pound, the best woman fighter in boxing. That's the narrative he's going to push. So he's not going to let a poor result get in the way of that narrative. So there's a lot of hypocrisy, and shout out to Shane for highlighting that.
Shout out to, like we said earlier, shout out to Ben Shalom as well, man, for keeping it real.
Yeah.
I mean, keeping it 100.
I hope he's consistent with that now. Now he's drawn that line in the sand. He's got to keep doing that now. Don't just Ben, if you're watching, you know what I mean? Keep it real 100% the way, you know what I mean? Don't just do it for certain man. But yeah, respect. I like how he handled that situation.
Few man up in here cussing off Ben Davison. They're saying that he should get sacked. Big up Punch Smollett as well, man. Thank you for the shout out, bro. For real. Good to have you here, man. It's good having you here in the chat. Mohammed is saying no one was showing this energy when Triple G was robbed. I go, well, a lot of people were a bit upset with that first fight, don't you think, Laurie?
Yeah, I had Triple G winning that first fight.
I think a lot of us did,
yeah. I had him winning that. But again, you know what I mean? He's up against the Canelo machine. What do you expect? Which is why I go back to what I'm saying. If Bivol thinks he's going to get a decision over Canelo by jabbing and, you know what I mean, throwing the occasional right hand, good luck with that, man. Good luck with that. You've been chosen for a reason, sir. You've been selected for a reason, yeah? Just know that. Once you get that payday, just know why you've been selected.
Last topic of the day, man, before we lock out for today. We've got a fight this weekend to look forward to, man. Very good fight. Could be a barn burner. Most likely will be between Roman Gonzalez, our boy Chocolatito, who was robbed blindly last time out.
Here we go again, yeah.
He'll be taking on Julio Cesar Martinez, your boy, Laurie.
My boy? No.
Good fight, though. Good fight.
Yeah, good fight. There's a few good fights this weekend. Don't forget, we've got Ramirez Pedraza this weekend.
Yeah, of course.
Well,
yeah,
you know what I mean? That's a very good fight. Ramirez coming back from that loss. Pedraza's kind of built himself back up, and he'll give Ramirez problems for sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward. But yeah, man, Chocolatito is a bit of a legend in a lot of people's eyes. Probably doesn't get the credit he deserves. So I'll definitely be watching that fight. And yes, he was blatantly robbed in that last fight. So let's hope he puts things right this time. And I hope they don't just try and right the wrongs by, if it's close in any way, just giving it to him by virtue of him being robbed the last time.
Yeah. We got to shout out Martinez. I mean, he did step in because it was supposed to be a third fight with Estrada, but he got caught down with COVID or he got injured or something.
Yeah.
And Martinez has stepped in. So yeah, shout out to him for stepping in.
Because the reason why I said that is because I honestly believe that that's what happened with John Ryder and Jacobs, isn't it?
Yeah,
because John Ryder was himself the victim of what I thought was a robbery when he fought Callum Smith. I thought he won that clearly. Should have been a world champion, got robbed. And then lo and behold, Danny Jacobs comes over. He fights Danny Jacobs. He didn't win that fight, and yet he's given it. I thought that was robbery too. Again, not a lot of people said it or called it. He may not have been as bad as the Catterall because there was no knockdowns or anything like that in that fight. But I thought, to me, what do you think, Darryl? I thought Jacobs was a clear winner.
Yeah,
you didn't win all the rounds. You shouldn't have to win all 12 rounds to get a decision over somebody, bro. Like, it's all right to drop a couple of rounds and still beat them. I thought he was up by at least 2 or 3 rounds against John Ryder, in my opinion.
I saw people after saying like, well, you know, yeah, it was a bad decision, but if anyone deserved it, then yeah, and that don't help, does it? That don't help the situation, does it? So
that's absolute nonsense. That's, you know what I mean? They should not say that. You know,
yeah.
But hey, yeah.
Your prediction for the fights this weekend, man? What are you looking forward to more?
I think I'm gonna go with I'm gonna go with Chocolatito to win. But I'm kind of looking forward to the Ramirez Pedraza fight a bit more. I think that one might be a bit more competitive, and it's against two guys, man, that on their day are both very good fighters. And of course, Ramirez coming off that loss. Let's face it, man, he did get beat up a little bit by Josh Taylor there, didn't he?
Yeah.
In his hometown as well. So this is a big fight for him, man, because he wants to reestablish himself. And then, like I said, Pedraza,
he can bring it.
Yeah, he can, and he'll be looking at this fight as a major scout to get back on that world title look. So yeah, man, I'm looking forward to that fight as well.
That'll be on Sky, right?
It is on Sky, yeah.
That's on Sky, yeah, for sure. Yeah. So yeah, good shows this weekend, man. Good shows this weekend. Looking forward to both of them, for real.
There's a big UFC fight, too. Not that you particularly bothered. But yeah, there's a massive UFC fight going down this weekend, a real grudge match between Kobe Covington and Jorge Masvidal, who's a bit of a UFC legend. So yeah.
Every time I hear that name, that guy, he's losing, right? He don't lose quite that Kobe.
He's lost a few fights recently, but he is a bit of a legend. I mean, UFC kind of works different to boxing, man. I mean, in boxing, you know what boxing's like. If you have a couple of losses, people are writing you off and saying, "Oh, you're finished, you're finished." In UFC, it doesn't necessarily work like that. you can have losses and people still respect you, and you know, I mean, it's just the nature of the sport. And I actually quite like that about UFC, actually. And what you get with UFC, and I'm going to say this again, I've said it many times before, is that they have what I call a benign dictator in what's his face? Dana White. He dictates who fights who. So there's none of this A side, B side, crossover on this side of the street, trying to age people out. People tend to fight each other. And obviously what you're going to find, Daryl, if the best fight the best consistently, losses are going to be accumulated in the sport. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, good weekend for combat sports. Let's just say that then, man.
Yeah, it is. Most definitely.
We're going to lock it off for today. Another very, very good show. Highly entertaining. Really enjoyed it.
I think so. No doubt people are going to come at me. I've had a pop up some of your favorite fighters there, Canelo, Fury, and one or two others. So, hey, man. And even Josh Taylor. I just want to say this about Josh Taylor. Yeah, just because people like myself and yourself have said he lost this fight, it's not the end of the road for him, man. I mean, listen, we all know he had problems making the weight. We all said he looked weight drained at the weigh-in. Styles make fights. Respect to Jack Catterall, Jamie Moore, and Nigel Travis. They got their tactics absolutely spot on. And to be fair to Jack Catterall, he executed that game plan spot on. And Styles make fights. So maybe if
he's been getting quite a lot of abuse, Josh Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, that was out of order as well. But some people seem to be writing off, oh, that's it, he's finished, he got exposed. No, it wasn't like that, man. If you look at Josh Taylor's leading into that fight, man, he'd beaten some real high-quality opponents, including Ramirez, who we just spoke about, including Regis Prograis, including Victor Postal, including Ivan Baranchik. You look at his resume, man, it was absolutely solid. Undisputed champion on the pound-for-pound list. But unfortunately, well, what should have happened is that he should have lost those belts. He should have lost, but he didn't. And now a lot of people are going the other way on him now and dissing him and saying, well, he weren't that good anyway. Crawford would knock him out in a few rounds. You know what I mean? It's very fickle out there, man. People just need to understand that boxing is like a lot of other sports, man. You do get upsets from time to time. And again, he wasn't upset because the right man didn't get the decision. But you know what I'm saying? It's not the end of the world, man. Or a lot of the great fighters have lost. Not everyone's going to go through their career like Floyd Mayweather, 50-0, or Joe Kawasaki and people like that. At the end of the day, the more good fighters you fight, the more the chance that you're going to get a loss in your record. Even the so-called greatest Mexican of all time has a loss on his record.
Yep. We'll look off there, man. Been another great show, man. Thank you all to everybody that tuned in. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out if you haven't already. Share the video. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Almost at the 1100 mark now, man. Big up everybody, man. And yeah, we'll be back next week. But yeah, Laurie, close it out for me.
Listen, man, once again, thank you very much for allowing me to come on here and indulge my passion talking about boxing, which I love. Great show. Listen, people, like, share, subscribe, share the video, man. I want to get more people watching this content. We believe in the content, and I'm sure once it gets out there, more people will start to watch and share alike. So yeah, appreciate the love and respect, man.
Appreciate it all, man. Big up to DS as well, man. Get well soon, my brother. And
yeah, shout out to D, man. Get well soon.
We'll catch up with you guys soon, man. Peace out.